Today, I'm gonna be building an all-white AI rental rig for a customer. We're gonna put it all together, show you the parts, how much they cost, what the profitability of this rig is, and if we can't get any AI jobs because we're using a 3070 GPU, I'm gonna be installing the Cryptex app to mine Bitcoin in the meantime. So let's get into it. I'm excited to do this all-white build. It's gonna turn out insanely good. Let's go.
Today's video is sponsored by VIA BTC. VIA BTC is a highly established mining pool for some of the biggest cryptos, including a top 3 pool for Bitcoin and Litecoin. VIA BTC also supports Kaspa mining and currently holds over 20% of the total hash rate. When mining Litecoin, VIA BTC now allows you to merge mine up to 8 different coins. This includes Litecoin, Doge, Bells, Lucky Coin, Pepe, Junk Coin, Dingo, and Schick. Mining all these coins at once can substantially boost your earnings on your script miners. Additionally, they support auto withdrawals, so you can set it and forget it and just get those payments with no extra headaches. They also have the ability to set up automatic alerts through email and Telegram, so you never miss a minute of mining. Don't forget to refer your friends for extra bonuses and earning potential, and thanks to VIA BTC for sponsoring this video.
So if you remember, about a month ago, I made a GPU mining rig. That was for this same customer, and he dropped off all of these all-white parts here, was getting some more money together, and now he's ready for an AI build. So it's going to be very similar to a lot of my AI rigs right here, except it's going to be using a 3070 GPU, which currently right now is not finding many jobs, but that's why we're going to install Cryptex to have a backup plan on this, a nice little kind of space heater rig, and hopefully jobs come back on the 3070s. So let's go over the parts and the cost here. Right off the bat, a white Thermalright Peerless Assassin, we'll mark that as about $20. And then we have a 700 watt white power supply. We'll mark this as about $50. And then we have a Ryzen 3600. I wanted to bump the CPU up a little bit if we're going to be doing Cryptex because that will mine on the CPU too. So this was about $65 used on eBay. And by the way, guys, I will have links to all of these products down in the description. This is a white 3070. I'm not sure. I guess it is Zotac. I thought it was just some China brand. This I'm going to mark down as about $200. And then we've got 32 gigs of RAM here total. And these are from Amazon. I believe it was about $70 for those. A nice white Jiginu brand motherboard. I'm sure you guys have all heard of them. It was hard to find a white AM4 board that wasn't just going to break the bank. I believe this one was $90. And then, of course, we've got our frame, which you'll notice looks a little different than the traditional black. That's because I went and spray painted this. I got it nice and good, a couple different coats. Besides a few bugs landing on there, which might get covered by the motherboard, that's gonna look great. So that frame is about $20 on Amazon, and I absolutely love building with those. And lastly, the little SSD drive is out here drying, so let's take a look at that. So I meant to get an all-white NVMe drive, but I totally forgot. I thought I already had one, and so I have a 500 gigabyte SATA SSD drive right here that I spray painted white. It's still a bit sticky. Shit. Yeah, so I need to keep painting this right here, but turning out not too bad. And that SSD drive was only about $30, so I'll put the grand total up on the screen, and then let's go ahead and get into the build montage, and then we'll go ahead and set up all the software and check out our profitability and do some further testing. Super excited. Let's go. This is going to be a super awesome build, guys. I have to say, this probably turned out to be one of the coolest, not only mining rigs I've ever made, but probably one of the coolest computers I've ever made. My personal rig right now is an all-white rig, but it sits under my desk, so I don't get to really see it that often, whereas this one it's not going to be the most profitable rig, but it's meant to be kind of a display piece. So it's a super nice all-white build that's going to sit out in the open, especially during the winter, and generate heat for this customer. So he's not necessarily in it so much for the money as he is for the hobby. It's a cool talking point. So I'm very happy with how it turned out, and I'm excited to go through this build with you guys.
This is an AM4 rig, so we're going with that standard Ryzen 3600. Since we're going to be potentially using Cryptex a decent amount on this rig, it was important to get a halfway decent CPU. He still was wanting to stay relatively budget. That's why we picked the 3600 instead of something like a 5900 or a 7900. And that's why we went with the 3600. So this is the same customer who purchased the 3-card mining rig I built a few weeks ago. We'll have a card for that up in the corner and link down below to kind of all of my builds. At this point, I've done a ton of different builds, Salad AI builds. I think I have an Octaspace build. I definitely have a bunch of GPU mining rig builds, anywhere from 3 cards to 6 cards to even a couple 12-card builds. So if you like this style of video, definitely be sure to check out that playlist on your way out. It's definitely hours of entertainment, and I'm building quite a good collection of rig builds at this point. They're by far my most popular videos, so whenever I get the opportunity to build a rig for somebody, I'm excited not only to get them an awesome rig, but also to get you guys one of these awesome videos of kind of how to build them and what that whole process looks like. So no surprise here, we're going with the same cooler that I've been going with on a lot of them, the Thermalright Peerless Assassin. It's one of the easiest coolers to install, even though I've been known to put a bracket on incorrect and have to redo it. But it is very easy to install, compatible with a lot of different motherboards, and he went with the all-white build here, which turned out super good. It matched the flow of everything else. You guys just saw that little subscribe button pop up on the video. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and get subscribed. A large portion of my viewership on these videos is not subscribed to the channel. And if you like this style of content, then there's a good chance you like everything else that I'm making on my channel. And while you're at it, consider hitting that join button. I am starting to do a lot of giveaways specifically for channel members. So I really don't have many members. You have a very high chance of winning because it's only for those winners. So this video doesn't have a giveaway, but stay tuned. A lot of them will be having giveaways. I've been just using the standard Thermalright paste that comes with this cooler. It seems to work totally fine instead of having to kind of buy your own. I really haven't had any issue with it. And I was sure to make sure to pull the little plastic piece off of the cooler here, because in a recent video I had to take apart one of my AI rigs because I was staying up at night thinking, oh man, did I take that plastic piece off of the cooler or not? So I took the whole thing apart, and sure enough, I had taken it off, but it wasn't shown in the video, so that was really getting to me. I had to double check it. Spray painting this frame here turned out much better than expected. I probably should have let it cure for maybe an extra day before I start working on this. I painted it probably 45 minutes before, but it didn't end up really with any issues. The drive that I painted, the SATA drive, now that one got some fingerprints on it and didn't turn out the best. I definitely should have let that last a little longer, but this white paint turned out great and kind of brings the whole build together. So stay tuned till the end of this. Like most of my builds, this video includes a little bit of troubleshooting. It's very rare that one of these things will just work right out of the gate, especially when you're buying some parts from Amazon, some parts from eBay, Chinese motherboards. There's always kind of something that could go wrong, and even more so in this case because I didn't personally buy these parts. The customer dropped them off to me about a month ago and said, hey, whenever you're ready, just build this and I'll come pick it up. So there is a pretty interesting failure mode on this build that I haven't encountered yet, and actually throughout the video build process, I don't really know what the issue is. I get it working, but it was only when I start editing this video that I was able to spot the issue. So I won't tell you till the end. I do put a snippet in while I'm editing the video at the end showing what I thought was the issue. So pay attention during this build. And if you think you know what went wrong, leave a comment down below, and hopefully someone gets it right. I kind of doubt it though, because it's a very, very little small detail here. So this is the power supply we're going with. It is a no-name brand, but it's got that all-white look to it. The only issue is when I started kind of putting it into place, I noticed it had a huge label on it, and a big black label, and I tried putting it both ways, but the power supply only screws into the frame in one orientation. So I ended up having to manually peel the label off of the power supply. I'm sure that's probably not a good practice to do. the future owners won't know the exact wattage of it. But I figured in this case, since he's going for the all-white build, he definitely would rather go for the aesthetics, and he knows that it's a 700 watt. So speaking of this build and specifically Cryptex, how we're actually going to be mining on this build most of the time instead of doing AI, I am getting very excited as it is the kind of early October right now. It's starting to get a little colder outside. I'm getting very excited to start moving some rigs into the house and start getting that free heat during the winter. For the last 2 years, I've heated my entire house off of GPU mining. I had a couple ASICs, but mainly GPU mining. I think last winter I was pulling about 5,000 watts continuously across the entire winter, and I maybe turned my heat on 1 or 2 times. Ever since I became a miner, my favorite season is winter by far. I love getting that free heat, having rigs kind of spread all throughout the house. Thankfully, my wife is okay with that. Some probably wouldn't be, but I think she's of the mindset if it's making money, then hey, that's all right. So that is kind of the concept with this one, and why it's going on Cryptex is it's going to be a little personal heater during the winter. I'm also going to be turning my 12 card rig on downstairs. Probably at the end of October, if I had to guess. It'll stay in the garage most likely, but I have been debating maybe splitting that 12 card rig into maybe 2 6 card rigs, or slimming it down to maybe 1 8 card rig, because right now it's so big on that frame, it's hard to really make it portable. Additionally, with 12 cards on it, it's pretty easy to max out a 15 amp circuit, one of my just home outlets, and I would like to maybe move that inside. So this build is about wrapped up here, guys. Take a look at it. It turned out beautiful, and I'll let Past Jack take over from here.
Okay, guys, and just like that, it looks like our all-white salad build is ready for testing. Looks pretty dang good. I wish the wiring was white, but hard to do that. The SSD turned out pretty good. You can still see a little bit of the Sharpie I put on there, but honestly on camera it doesn't really show up. I did not realize the back of this card looked like that. That's pretty funny, but honestly it fits pretty well. So before I do cable management, I want to make sure everything works here. You never really know when you're using parts from somebody else. I don't even know if the GPU works. I'm assuming everything works fine, but the CPU's from Amazon, so there's a lot of different variables here. Chinese motherboard, which to be honest, I've had better luck with Chinese motherboards than I have with just standard Amazon ones as of late. So let's go ahead and plug this in. We'll get a monitor hooked up, and then I need to find my Windows 11 flash drive. We're going to flash Windows 11 onto this so that he can run either Salad or Okta and not have to worry about kind of upgrading in the future. Got out the old white matching keyboard here. That looks super good. I think this is the right flash drive. We'll have to be sure here. And then we'll plug in our HDMI and our power supply. And then let's just go ahead and flip this thing. Let me make sure you guys can see all right. So it's not going to turn on just yet because I haven't gone into the BIOS and enabled AC power loss on. That's why I installed this power button here. But I wasn't sure if I put it in the right spot until now, but I did. So that's amazing. Let's just go straight into the BIOS here, hopefully. And if we get into there without any issues, we're probably okay. Let's go. Jingyu. Man, I might have to give him this keyboard. It matches so well. So unfortunately, we may have celebrated a bit too early. Wait here. This screen keeps popping up and I'm pressing delete and it's not doing anything. It's just going to sit at this screen for a second and then it's going to reboot. So it's like, I would consider that a post. We're seeing the BIOS screen, but it's not getting any further than that, which is a bit concerning. But I'm probably going to need to do some Googling here. Maybe swap the RAM into different slots, something like that. Maybe use one stick. Let me do some researching. Okay, so let's try a couple things out here. ChatGPT recommended removing all of the drives So I'm going to remove the USB, remove just the SATA data cable right here. I'm going to remove one stick of RAM, because why not? And I'm not going to be able to take the RAM out without removing the GPU. That's a bit annoying. Is the power connector seated well? Yes, and yes. Let's maybe try it just with the two drives removed here. And heck, we'll remove the keyboard as well. Come on, you little bastard. Now we're not even seeing the boot screen, which is honestly probably a decent sign. At least we changed something. But that should not have really made a change there. I think I'm going to remove the GPU and pull one of the sticks of RAM out. I'll probably also clear the CMOS while I do that. Okay, got into the BIOS. Might be a bit hard to get into the settings we need to change here. We could maybe go without turning off the AC power on one, but we're going to need to enable virtualization for Salad. So I'm going to have to come up with some sort of live translating app to figure that out, which is hilarious. How we got this working though is I removed the little battery, which if you don't know, you pull that out for like 5 minutes, that clears the CMOS. I removed that drive and this drive, and I removed one stick of RAM. So I'm going to go ahead and restart it here. Let's honestly just make sure that we can get back into the BIOS immediately, because for whatever reason, it took like 4 restarts to get into the BIOS. So let's just make sure it's good to go. We can get in there again. I'm kind of questioning the power supply, because whenever I flip that, it slightly dims my lights, which I don't think that's supposed to be happening. It's only 700 watts, and it's certainly not pulling that much. Okay, so that looks to be good. Let's go ahead and put in one more stick of RAM here, and then maybe put back in our drives. We'll just try to do it all at once and see if that gets it fixed. It's quite annoying. I don't know what size board this is, maybe micro, that I have to remove the GPU every time just to flip the little RAM switch. So let me stick it all back in, and hopefully we can get back into the BIOS still. Okay, everything's back installed. Turn it on. Last time I booted in the BIOS pretty dang quick, so we shouldn't have to wait long here. It's going to be a shame if I need to replace the power supply or something, because that one does look pretty sweet, nice and white. Oh, forgot to unplug the monitor cable here. I'm going to restart it. Right back to the same issue here, which makes me think it's the RAM. I do have extra. Unfortunately, it's only 2x8 sticks, so 16 gigabytes total, which should be fine, if just for the Cryptex at least. We'll probably need to upgrade that for the actual AI stuff. But let me try this one last time without the 2 drives. Is that the issue? I'm leaning definitely towards the RAM at this point. All right. If we still have the same issue, then at least one of the RAM sticks is maybe bad. I guess I could try to swap them slots real quick. Okay, that's weird. Hopefully I didn't paint that drive for nothing. I mean, I know that drive works, but for some reason, I mean, it could be the USB. I guess we'll try one at a time now. Well, I got it working, and the only thing I did was just move this to a different slot. I'm still not 100% if that's the correct USB. I made one that lets you like skip over the secure boot stuff for Windows 11, and I really don't want to have to do that again, so I hope it is this one. I should have marked it. And that was basically it. So now I'm going to get some sort of live translator going and see if I can get virtualization enabled and a couple other things. So we can see we do have 64 gigs of RAM here, so that's awesome. This is actually 2 32 gigabyte sticks. I thought it was 2 16, so that's actually pretty nice. According to ChatGPT here, this bottom option is the AC power on, so that would be this option here. If you guys get this board, I doubt you do. So I'm going to keep going through. I'm still trying to find the virtualization option. And I spent a bunch of time looking for virtualization, and it's already enabled. Alrighty, that was the hardest part of the build right there. I'm going to start going through the software here, guys, and I'll let you know once we've got Windows 11 set up. Before I forget, I'm going to mark this flash drive that this is indeed my Windows 11 one. I can go ahead and pull that out. And so what's next here, guys? I got Windows 11 all installed. Like I mentioned, we're going to be setting up both Cryptex and Salad. And so how I do these customer builds, they just give me their login information. I'm a trustworthy guy. And I just get everything logged in. So right when he picks this up, he's going to either have a Cryptex icon or Salad icon, and he can run whichever one he wants. He can upgrade the GPU later if he wants. So I'm going to clean up kind of all this right here, get Chrome installed and get those apps installed. And then we'll start mining, probably mine to my account first, just to see kind of what this thing will make on Cryptex. And then Salad, I doubt we're going to be able to find a job immediately, so I'm probably just going to get it hooked up and ready to go. But mainly just setting and testing Cryptex right now. So let's do that. And maybe we'll put a power meter on this and just see how much it's pulling for how much it's making. All right, guys, I've got Cryptex installed here. I just made a full Cryptex video with the setup and breaking down exactly what this is. If you don't know, if you didn't see that video, I'll link it up here. But what we need to do is I want to make sure that this does not automatically start with Windows, because I don't want this just immediately turning on. We're going to turn on dark mode as well. And then that should be good. I'm not going to show the miner Windows because he has no use for that. So we can see here my Ryzen 5 3600 worked fine. Ryzen 3070 or NVIDIA 3070, both of those showed up perfectly. That's nice. So I'm still working on getting Salad set up, but let's go ahead and just start cranking this thing. I don't have my watt meter plugged in here, but we can at least get an idea of what we're going to be making per month. Now, once we dial in on an algorithm too, I will probably go ahead and undervolt this, but I think I'm actually just gonna go ahead and download MSI Afterburner and undervolt the whole system so that I don't have to do it per algorithm in case it changes kind of while he's on it. I'll probably just set the power limit of the GPU to like 80% and maybe overclock the core just a little bit. Nothing crazy, but just so it's not going full bore every time. So let's see what it is on full bore. We'll see what this ends up saying per month after a little bit of time while I continue getting Salad installed. All right, guys. Unfortunately, I did some cable managing, and now I'm back to the error where the BIOS screen just keeps popping up. So obviously it has something to do with this drive. That's the one that is having issues. I tried a different SATA cable, no luck. I think I'm just going to go ahead and buy a white NVMe drive and wait a few days. I'm going to have to reflash Windows, which is pretty annoying, but I can't give it to him like this where you jostle some cords and then it goes back to this screen right here. So something's obviously wrong. I'm not entirely sure what it is. All I did was stick this SSD to the frame and then do some cable managing, and then that somehow broke it again. So I'll see you guys in a few days and we will put a new drive on there. I'll skip through all that. Next time you see it, this will be working and we'll be doing our wattage test, which I had everything plugged in ready to go, and then it died on me again. So see you guys in a couple days.
All right, guys, Future Jack here. I think I figured out what happened with this rig while I was editing the video here. So let's watch this clip again. Notice when I plug in this SATA cable that when I plug it in, it only should be going in like a tiny bit, and I think I actually like pushed the port into the power supply because it looks like it goes in way too far. So let's quickly watch this. You see that? Even when I was putting that in, I thought it maybe felt a little weird. And looking back, it definitely looks like that cable went in too far. So maybe it was making like an intermittent connection, which actually would explain the failure mode we were seeing where I just jostled the cables doing cable management and then it stopped working again. That is almost certainly what happened here. And it's just a fault of that kind of crappy power supply no-name brand. But everything still ended up working because I didn't end up using a SATA cable in the finished build. But I figured I'd hop on here and tell you what I think ended up happening here.
Okay, it's almost exactly 24 hours later, and everything is up and running now. We need to give this a little bit. I just turned it on, so it's going to boot up in a second here. But right now, we're pulling 400 watts. So we'll monitor that, and I haven't done any overclocking yet. We're gonna do that in a little bit once this gets settled. So it was indeed the SSD. I was gonna pull this thing off of here, but it's so glued down, or I used double-sided tape, but it's so stuck on there that if I pull it off, I'm gonna mess up the paint on here. So he's just getting an extra drive, but I think when I was trying to pry it, I basically broke it anyway. So little relic of the past on there, but man, this thing is looking awesome, especially with the white keyboard here. Let me get the drill out of the way. I mean, the thing just looks so cool. Might be the thumbnail shot right there. So we are mining Cryptex right now. I have Salad set up so that if he wants to do Salad, he can do that as well. A little secret here, guys. I have heard of people mining on their CPU while running Salad, or maybe it was Octaspace. I haven't tried that, but maybe something you can mess around with. So let's see, are we still pulling the same amount of watts? 360. I'm gonna monitor this, and then we will mess around with some overclocks here in a second. So we've been up and running for a while now. We are pulling about 391 watts, which comes out to be about $1 a day. And right now it looks like we're making about $11.50 per month. So about a net negative of $20, but this is mainly meant to be for winter time for free heat. This thing is putting off some serious heat. And additionally, it's kind of just a cool thing to have around the house. No different than like a solo miner. But it looks super cool. So let's try to make that a little bit better though. I went ahead and got Afterburner on here. And by the way, I will leave a Cryptex link down below if you want to use that app. But you can also individually overclock different algorithms, but I just want to do it for everything combined. So what I'm going to do is increase our core clock by 200, 196, increase the memory clock by, let's say 500. If I can get it there, there we go. And then our power limit, I'm gonna bring down to 80. So let's see how that affects things. We're gonna go ahead and hit save, and then I'll save this to profile 1. And then I also want to go and hit this, so this is constantly starting up with Windows, and start with Windows, start minimize. So these overclock settings will always be applied. So those are good now. Let's see, we're still over here mining. And you can see we're already down to 334 watts, which would be about 80 cents a day in electricity now. We knocked off about 20% of the power. So that's pretty good, and we'll have to see if this changes, but I doubt it's going to change much since we lowered the power, but also overclocked the GPU. So I hope you guys enjoyed this build video. I will leave 2 other build videos up here if you enjoy this style of video. And also don't forget to subscribe. These videos take a long time, but I do love making them for you guys. Check them out.